So tonight we're going to talk about wisdom. And if you didn't get the song of invitation earlier, it's 883. I'll leave that in a few minutes when we get to the end of this. So I just wanted to spend some time talking about wisdom. You can be turning to Proverbs chapter 2 if you want. We're going to read some verses there because I think that Proverbs 2 has a lot to say about wisdom. And I just wanted to kind of break this down for us to understand it better. But first, a few definitions. Wisdom, by definition, is the application of experience, knowledge, and good judgment. And so, you think about those of us that have been around for a while. We have experiences working or doing different things, and a lot of knowledge that we've gained, and of course, making good judgments as we go along as well. So all of those things equate to wisdom. Another word that we're going to see when we get into reading Proverbs 2 is understanding, and a lot of different definitions out there, but I like this one the best. Understanding is comprehension, knowledge, and discernment. And so you can see it's very similar to wisdom. Understanding is um, because they both have knowledge. Wisdom has good judgment, which includes discernment. And so you can see that they're very similar. But I think the difference is the practical application. That's what wisdom does for us. It gives us a practical application of what understanding we have, and so that's the difference. Wisdom goes a little bit further. A person, in fact, I think understanding also includes our experiences, because we learn things from our experiences. We gain knowledge through our experiences. Uh, y'all know about the School of Hard Knocks, right? I've attended that school many times myself. And the thing about the School of Hard Knocks is that it's a great teacher. You learn when you fall on your face, when you have hard knocks, you learn. And so I think that helps our understanding. But the problem is, if a person goes out and does those same things again, they don't have wisdom. They have understanding, but they don't have wisdom because they did not apply that understanding to make their lives better. In fact, the Bible would call that person a fool. That's what the Bible would call them, because they didn't learn anything from that. So those are the definitions. So as we're going through reading some of these verses, keep that in mind. So let's look at verses 1 and 2 of Proverbs chapter 2. It says, "My son, if you will receive my sayings and treasure my commandments within you, make your ear attentive to wisdom, incline your heart to understanding." So I think what these verses are telling us is that wisdom must be heard and received. If someone just hears something but really doesn't take it in, they haven't received it. So that's the difference there. If you just hear it and just move on and do nothing with what you heard, it's not going to do you any good. You have to hear it and receive it. And so here this person is talking to their son and talking about sayings. There's a lot of sayings, and a lot of them have wisdom in them. And when we hear those, it's good if we, those things that have wisdom in them, if we try to make them part of our lives. And it's talked about as a treasure. Wisdom is certainly a treasure. Uh, Of course, today we can also read about wisdom. We can read things that are best practices. That's what I see. Like in industry. I work in industry, so a lot of times people will talk about best practices. Do this because it's listed as a best practice, and so companies that go after the best practices are listening to wisdom of those who have tried to do it different ways and came up to the best way that it could be done. So certainly we can hear and read those things today. All right, let's look at verses 3 through 5. It says, "For if you cry for discernment, lift your voice for understanding. If you seek her as silver and search for her as for hidden treasures, then you will discern the fear of the Lord and discover the knowledge of God." And so I think what we see in these verses is that obtaining wisdom takes some effort. You can't just sit on the couch and not do anything and get wisdom. You've got to get up and make an effort. And here, I mean, it talks about if you cry for discernment. I mean, here a person is crying out uh, to to uh, to learn how to best judge situations, and so it is so intense that it has caused them emotionally to cry, and so that is some kind of effort right there. And lift your voice for understanding. So to shout out, "Hey, I don't understand this. Help me understand this." Um, and then the seeking, seek her as silver. Of course, we don't have silver much these days, but of course we have money. We always are after the almighty dollar, I guess some would say, but uh, only to the point for us that are Christians, only to the point that it would provide the things that we need. Um, but as some people seek after silver or hidden treasures, even that's the way we are to seek after wisdom. So you must seek it, and of course, Jesus said in James 1:5, "If any of you lacks wisdom, let him ask of God, who gives to all liberally and without reproach, and it will be given to him." I think that's a strong verse. That's a very, very strong verse. So if you lack wisdom, you just ask God for it. And not only will he give it to you, but he will give it liberally. That, to me, that sounds like he's going to give you more than you ask for. He's going to give you more than you ask for. And we should do like Jesus said in Matthew chapter 7. We should ask, we should seek, and we should knock. Ask, seek, and knock. And so if we do those things, we will get wisdom. And I just love the way verse 5 ends here. It says, "And discover the knowledge of God." Do you want the knowledge of God? Do you want to discover the knowledge of God? Well, this is how. This is how to do it. Ask God for the wisdom and search for the wisdom. All right, let's look at verses 6 through 8. "For God gives wisdom, from his mouth come knowledge and understanding. He stores up sound wisdom for the upright. He is a shield to those who walk in integrity, guarding the paths of justice, and he preserves the way of his godly ones." So we see here that God gives wisdom, knowledge, and understanding to those of us who are his children. And not only that, but he has stored up wisdom that he is ready to give you. All you got to do is ask. Isn't that wonderful? He has stored it up and he's ready to give it, and he will give it liberally. All we have to do is ask for it. And we're told in these verses that he shields us, he guards and preserves us. Those who are upright, those who are righteous, those who are his children. That's what he does for his children. All right, let's look at verses 9 through 11. It says, "Then you will discern righteousness and justice and equity and every good course. For wisdom will enter your heart, and knowledge will be pleasant to your soul. Discretion will guard your understanding, will guard you, and understanding will watch over you." Those are some wonderful things, aren't they? Look at all the things it mentioned. I think, it mentioned a lot of things that were in the definitions I shared with you. It talks about wisdom. It talks about knowledge. It talks about discretion and understanding. All of those things God will give us. So wisdom, knowledge, discretion, and understanding. And last of all, when you get these things, you will be happy. You want to know how to be happy? This is how to be happy. Look at in chapter 3, verse 13. It says, "How blessed is the man who finds wisdom, and the man who gains understanding." Blessed. That's the word for happy. You want to be happy? Do these things that are in chapter 2. That's how to be happy. Ask God for wisdom, and and pray and seek. Ask and seek and knock, and search for the wisdom, and then pray to God for it, and he will give it to you liberally because he has stored it up for you. I think it's so wonderful. I have been asking God for wisdom myself, and I would encourage you to start, if you haven't been praying for wisdom, to incorporate that in your prayers. It is something we all need. And so if we want wisdom, all we have to do is ask God, and he will give it to us. So the invitation is available for anyone who needs it. If you have a need to come forward and repent of anything, or if we can pray for you, come while we stand and sing.